Hi everyone, this is the Coffee with the Geek program. My name is Andy, and my coffee for today is actually, I have a coffee mug. I'm going to highlight that. It's from the Henry Ford Museum in Michigan. I won that coffee mug for a Technology Innovation Award through PBS. I love PBS, so thumbs up to that. I have a really great guest with me this evening, and that is a biologist. So this is going to be my second biologist that I've interviewed, and I'm very excited. So I have Amy Hollingsworth, and she's a biologist and STEM educator, or she was at the University of Akron, although you're never not a biologist, right?
Right.
And she's actually written 7 laboratory manuals. That I salute you for that. Laboratory manuals are tough writing, I can imagine. You have your personal website called 7minutescientist.com, and also a laboratory manual, I guess, publisher called thebigpicturebiology.com. Maybe you can tell us a little bit about that. So that's kind of your former life, and now you're a technology integration specialist for Massillon City Schools. I hope I pronounced that right. Wow, you get to kind of put into practice all the fun technology things and curriculum ideas that you got from college, and you're doing Google PD, love Google, one-to-one Chromebook integration. Chromebooks are really on fire these days in the schools here, even in New York. And you're doing your PhD in curriculum and instruction, so getting away from the sciences in your focus. You can never get away from science, can you?
That's right.
So with that, let me just say how I came across you through Twitter.
Sure, yeah.
And love Twitter. You know, there's so many great people out on Twitter, but I can't remember how I connected with you, but follower from a follower, and saw you were really putting out some really cool stuff. So Twitter is just a great place to see fantastic people. So first of all, thank you, Amy, for joining me tonight.
Thank you for having me. I'm excited to be here.
You've been doing you have really kind of it's almost a dual world here. So you're coming from a science background, which has been kind of different. Again, I haven't interviewed a lot of ed tech teachers along the science line. Do you think, science and ed tech are a good fit? And what are maybe some current trends in the ed tech science field that are out there?
Sure, that's a great question. I have been teaching biology for the last almost 15 years. I started off teaching biology in high school, actually on the Mexican border in Eagle Pass, Texas, and then taught there for about 8 years, and then moved back up to Ohio, where I'm originally from, and started at the University of Akron, coordinating a giant biology course. So my course was 640 students and about 10 teaching assistants every semester. And so if you're going to work with a huge class like that, it's almost a hands down you have to use technology, because 640 students are just not going to show up to class when they're supposed to. And so so let me put my earphone back in. So one of the cool things about working with all of those students and working with these teaching assistants is that I got to communicate so much with them using technology. And so filming everything that I was doing so that both the students could watch it again and the teaching assistants could learn to do it in the first place. And then I got to the point where, as I was putting things online, I had students who were stopping me on the elevator, and they were saying, I actually have another biology teacher, but we watch your videos so that we can understand what he's talking about. They said, I feel like you're our big sister who explains science to them. And so that's kind of the voice that I've always taken in my writing. When I did my PhD in curriculum and instruction, I of course had to have that educational researcher, very sciencey researcher voice. But then I always wanted something that could express my personality, which I think I equate really well to students. And so working with non-majors, working with 640 students who may either like biology, like science, not really having any feelings at all about science or absolutely hate it. I had to somehow win those students over, almost like I was selling my discipline to them. And so one thing they always appreciated was that I was using technology to do that. And as I got started in using technology, I got better at filming my videos. I got better at being interactive. I got really involved with Google, did their Google Certified Trainer course, and just really became everything Google. So as I finished up that PhD, as I throw my earphones on the floor, you know what's so hard about earphones? It's that if you smile, which I do all the time, they fall right out of your ears. And so I'm going to come up with earphones that don't have to get wrapped around your ear, but that stay in your ear when you smile. That'll be my next thing. It'll be technology.
That sounds like a good startup.
Yes, yes. And so I've always had this interest in technology. So I was doing all of these cool things. My laboratory manual publisher, I think I had put out 3 laboratory manuals when they approached me and said, let's do an online version. And I said, oh, that would be so cool. So I started integrating Google spreadsheets and putting all of my YouTube videos. And actually, my son wants to come over and say hi. He always wonders who's on the computer. And so, go back upstairs. Yes, so go ahead and go back upstairs. That's the one thing about being a single mom and filming from your house is you never know exactly what's going to happen. You also may not know this, but I have a chihuahua that's dancing around below my feet right now. So
you're fine. You're in good company. I've got kids and dogs too, so don't worry. That's part of the show.
Yeah, that's part of being a great educator is
exactly.
Is one, knowing how kids work, and for me, knowing how animals work. So so that was a little bit off of the subject, but that's how I got to the point I'm at today. Started using technology, got really good at it, and it was never required of me at my job. Teaching biology, I could have just stood up there and taught and gone back to my lab and done my research, but that wasn't me. I wanted to extend beyond what I needed to do what was best for my students and to do what they really liked. And that turned out to be something that worked out perfectly for me, because one day I got an email in my inbox and it said, hey Amy, there's this job and it sounds like everything that you do for fun right now as your actual job. And when I read the job description, I was like, yes, this is perfect, but I will never get it. I thought there's got to be so many people competing for this job. And so one of the things that I had over the other people is that I had a completely different set of qualifications. They weren't seeing anybody with my background, with the STEM background and the education and the science. I was just this perfect mix of what they were looking for. So that goes back to the try everything that you want to do, at least give it a shot. All they can do is tell you no.
You know, this is kind of a sidebar question off of that. I've interviewed several Ohio teachers, and I was able to go to the OETC conference. And one of the things that I found, especially with Ohio teachers, pretty much everyone that I've talked to said really their schools, and I think maybe on a larger level, maybe the state is really is providing a culture for technology use. Do you find that where you are? I know you've just started, but do you find maybe at the school level, state level, even building level, is the culture of promoting technology there in those areas?
Oh, absolutely. And one thing that I think I would have a criticism of is that they've had so many pieces cobbled together. Everybody says, oh, this looks like a cool idea. Let's adopt one part. And this program looks like a good idea. Let's just get this little part. And so there's pieces and parts that are coming together. And really what they need is something streamlined something that's been aligned to their curriculum, and that's where I feel Google is going to be amazing. I think that just in putting that professional development out to these teachers, they have been wanting it so bad, but not even knowing that there are names for the things that they want. So going in and getting a chance to talk to the teachers and talk to them as groups, talk to them as their educational levels and their different disciplines, and getting to be in there and tell them there are solutions for this, and there are ways to make all of your wants happen, and this is how we do it. And this is how we do it using Google. I am such a Google evangelist, and I'm so excited to get in there and use these Chromebooks. And so one of the really cool things for me has been, as I have gotten on Twitter and as I've started following some people and getting into the professional learning communities and getting on people's PLN, I am finding such a wealth of knowledge. I feel so geeky, and it's so exciting. I love it.
So just before we walk away, and I know you're more than a science teacher now, but I come back to it because I'm kind of fascinated. Again, I think now that I think of it, I've interviewed 2 science teachers who are really tech savvy, tech teachers, and you're now the 3rd kind of science teacher. Do you think science has been a curriculum area that doesn't push the boundaries of ed tech use? You think it does? And I think right off the bat, one of the things, I was a former biology major. Probably no one knows that about me, but when I think back to my biology training, I always, maybe it's just the soft heart in me, but I always felt bad, especially with animal experimentation stuff. Now we can do visual, or simulations and recreations. Do you think science is going there? Have I missed something? I mean, can we do now, instead of doing those, the dissection, which of course I think was a valuable learning experience, an incredible learning experience, but of course an animal had to suffer because of it. Do you think technology can go there in science? I mean, just tell me your overall just thoughts of science and ed tech.
Sure. So if you want to look back to where I started my teaching career in the year 2000, I think that science teachers were already the ones using different types of technologies through microscopes, through the different equipment we were using. We were already pushing the boundaries. And so as other disciplines look to integrate technology into their curriculum, they were the ones that were picking up on software packages and operating systems and other types of technology. And so whereas science teachers had already been doing it, I think that they didn't look outside for technology because they already had it. So science may have lagged behind as far as integrating the great technology that we have now, because they already had their hands full with so much other technology. They were already satisfying that requirement. And then as they saw English using it, as they saw math using it, they said, we want to use it too. And then the amazing thing about science people is that we have a very small learning curve. We can easily jump right into that technology and pick up with it. And I think that has been the most amazing thing for my career and for my work with other teachers, is that I've been able to jump right in with the technology, and I'm not afraid to tinker with things. I'm not afraid to experiment. And so why not try something? You can only fail, but you'll never get anywhere if you don't try.
That's a really great point. It's something I hadn't considered. So I think your answer, if we were to put it in a nutshell, is really science teachers have been on the forefront of using technology all along, right?
Absolutely. Absolutely. We knew what that power button was before anybody else did.
Great. Tell me, besides your students, I know as teachers, that's always our first answer. I'm inspired by my students, and they energize us. But besides students, tell me, who are your maybe influences or your inspirations as it comes from your professional?
So I recently, as I started getting into building my website and looking online to build a platform on which to develop my website, I long ago, while building websites for my classroom, had found that teachers always got stuck cobbling everything together. We would have all these buttons down the side of our web page, and we just throw stuff on there. And as web pages started to develop and get better, we wanted to be able to streamline things. And so teachers have almost developed a brand to them. I think that my background is part of what builds me into an interesting brand. And so I've actually been following some of the hustlers that are online that are working through business and working through platform building, working through social media to figure out how to sell my discipline, to figure out how to sell my idea of education, because education can only get better, but somebody has to try. And so I'm writing books for the first time. I'm not writing a lab manual. I'm actually putting together a real how-to book. And you said that lab manual writing is hard. I actually didn't feel that at all. I think lab manual writing was easy because I had 16 labs. I took and put all of those labs together, and then I edited them for content, and taking 16 things that are 20 pages each and then putting them together is a lot easier than coming up with what are you going to write 15 chapters about in your book. So lab manual writing is easy. Writing books that people actually want to read is hard. And I've really gotten into some of the professional development books, looking at Patty. We have a consultant that's coming in named Dr. McNulty. He's written some amazing things. And so I'm looking at some of here's my geeky part, the data-driven instruction. I can't wait to get in there and work with the numbers and see what they show us, and then use that data in order to improve my instruction, improve the technology. And so part of that has to be how do you design evaluations, how do you design assessments. And so right now what I am geeking out to is data-driven instruction. And if I have 3 spreadsheets on my computer right now, that's probably too few of them.
Well, that falls in line with your science background. Actually,
oh yeah, I love that.
To read that and put it into play.
Yeah, absolutely.
So, you know, I'm amazed at your background and all you've accomplished, and you know, again, single parent and PhD and all that good stuff.
You know what it is? It's seizing opportunity. I feel like I'm one of those people that I didn't go out looking for a PhD. I never thought that I would have one. But when I joined the university, I already had my master's degree, and maybe I should go back a little bit further for those people in your audience who don't know me. When I started out, I got this biology degree, and I thought, oh, I'm going to go to school to be a vet. And then I did not have the grades to be a vet. And so I thought, well, what am I going to do with this biology degree? And so I got my first teaching job teaching biology, and that was really awesome. And as I was working towards getting my my teacher certification, I thought, man, I'm getting good at this education stuff. And so I thought, oh, I would love to go on and get a master's in education to be a principal, to lead other teachers. And so I got that master's degree to be a principal. And then I moved back to Ohio to be closer to my family. And at that point, when I got back to Ohio, nobody would hire me as a science teacher because they all knew I had a master's degree and that I wouldn't stay. And nobody would hire me to be a principal because I'd never been a teacher in Ohio. And so I was at the point where I thought, you know, what do I do? And my mom found this job in the paper, and she said, you should apply for this biologist position at the University of Akron. And I said, they aren't ever going to hire me. She said, oh, just try it. And so when I got to the interview at the University of Akron, I met up with an amazing educator named Jessica Hopkins, and she inspired me to go on to write these lab manuals. She was such the perfect combination of biology and education, and I was just fascinated by everything that she did. And so her and I worked to write curriculum together. Her and I got really excited about working with these teaching assistants, and then she left the university. And so I was left there on my own, and I thought, what am I going to do? And so I started in my PhD in order to become everything that she was. And along the way, I realized you can't really copy anybody else's teaching style. You have to become your own teacher. And so I worked along the way in order to become the best professional that I could. And so I don't think that I'm going to stop here. I don't think that this is the end of the road for me. I have promised my superintendent that I'm dedicating a certain amount of time to this job, because there's a lot of turnover in administration and in our district. And so I am committing myself to staying in this district while I'm writing my books, developing my brand, working on my website, putting together professional development for teachers, until eventually I'm going to work my way out of a job and I'm going to be making $1 million a year as a biology with technology guru.
I love it. I love it. Boy, that sounds like a good plan. So you've really kind of already talked about your forward-thinking projects, but with your busy life and EdTech life, but you also have a personal life, I hope. And what do you do to power down? What's a good? How do you get away from technology and just relax a little bit?
I love the beach, and so my son and I just spent a month in Costa Rica. We went and took Spanish language immersion school. In another life, I also wanted to speak Spanish fluently, so I needed to go back and practice my Spanish. As you can imagine, don't get a whole lot of Spanish here in northeastern Ohio, so I needed to go and work on that. And during my vacation, as I'm sure you can imagine, if I didn't unplug from technology, I was going to be answering emails and playing online and talking to people, and I needed to just unwind. So I gave myself a certain amount of tech time, but then I tromped through the jungle and I looked for giant iguanas and venomous snakes, and I took a boat tour in a national park in Costa Rica. I had a monkey on my head. I saw sloths and poison dart frogs, and everything I had ever imagined as a biologist, I got to actually see, and it was amazing.
Wow, boy, that's the perfect way to power down for.
Yeah. And so I also have a pool. I love to go lay by the pool and worship the sun. But my main, it's funny, it's not really unplugging from technology, but I sit with my iPad and play Bejeweled. I am so good at Bejeweled, and so just sit there in silence and make those little lines. And that probably goes back to my science teacher background too, in that I love to make patterns. I love to work with things that make sense, and so Bejeweled is the perfect pastime for me.
Awesome.
Yeah.
All right. Well, it is now time for the Speed Geek question. So here's my Guide Now app. So I'm going to spin the wheel and give you 3 questions, and again, it can be short answer off the cuff. So here we go. Spinning the dial here.
Okay.
And question number 1 is, what is your first storage device? So floppy drive.
I did. Oh, so it's funny you say that.
What's your first storage device?
First storage device, it'd be the 3x5 floppy. I remember back to the Commodore computers. My dad was an accountant when I was growing up, and so he was one of the first ones to have computers. And so he brought home that giant beige box, and it had that big black screen with the orange letters. And my brother and I used to fight over playing on that computer, but we've had a computer ever since. So it's been ingrained in me growing up.
Nice.
Yes.
I had the Commodore as well.
Fantastic.
Commodore 64.
Yeah.
All right, so the next question is your favorite app. What is your favorite app? It can be Google, iPad.
I don't know whether to go with Evernote or Dropbox. I use both of them so frequently. It will probably be Evernote because I keep track of all of my things that I'm reading. I go back and put my brain together when I'm trying to remember where I was finding something. I take shots of all my handwritten notes. I actually bought one of their Evernote scanners. And so all of my paper, I'm working on this paperless house thing. I put my papers, my notes, my receipts, my business cards, everything goes through that Evernote scanner. And you know, the one thing I'll never be done with is books. I absolutely love books. They're such an experience. They're something that are so awesome to look at and to feel and to have that tactile experience. But Evernote is a second brain, so gotta have that.
Wow. You know, I haven't used that a lot, so I think you've convinced me I need to dig more into that. So the last question is, and this I think you've already answered it, but feel free to take it a different direction. Minecraft, World of Warcraft, or what's your favorite game?
Definitely Bejeweled. That's my unwinding one. But I also have a horrible little habit of anytime I talk on the phone, I play Minesweeper. That little game that comes with everybody's computer. I have to flip it open. And so I always know at the end of the week how long I talked on the phone because I look at how many hours I played Minesweeper, and it's just me putting things together in my head and mapping things and being really geeky, and I love it.
All right. Well, thank you so much, Amy. This has been a great interview.
Thank you.
I'm really excited to keep up to date with all the things you're doing and keep up the great work. It's really wonderful, and I hope I get to meet you next time we're in Ohio.
That sounds awesome. Thank you so much for the opportunity.
All right. A pleasure.
All right. Have a good night.
Okay. You too.